from London, England, where the Queen lives.
Recorded live from an underground bunker and packaged into an MP3 with a pretty little picture. Helping bring you the motivation, inspiration, and some other stuff to help kickstart your day. Hoo-yah! This is the Learn, Develop, Live podcast. And this is your host, Chris Jaggs.
Join the motivation. Join the motivation.
Good morning! Happy Monday. It's the start of a brand new week. The sun is shining. The birds are tweeting instead of coughing on car fumes because of the lockdown. And in many places around the world, the gentle ocean waves are washing upon the sandy shores of many beaches, I'm sure. My name is Chris Jaggs, host, producer, CEO of the show, and creator of the Learn, Develop, Live method. Identifying and drawing out that pain of yours, creating a habit together, then helping you live out that habit on a higher level. I mean, who doesn't want that, right? So, what have you got planned for this week? You may still be working, but now you're home based at the moment. You could be a key frontline worker, and I thank you again for all you're doing. Or you may have unfortunately lost your job because of what's happening out there. But I hope things improve for you and start to get better. Maybe this could be the best time for you to try and start to launch your dream of yours. Now is better than ever, right? Now, over the past few weeks, we've been going through the steps of how to launch a dream. Again, whatever it is, start a business. Alright, okay, maybe. If you want the old bricks and mortar version, well, that's going to take a while, but if it's online, why not start today? Even while you listen to the podcast. Showing your talents as a makeup artist, you can do that online. Videos on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I've heard stories about people who are in IT, got laid off. They're now making mobile phone apps. You know the guy who done that new supermarket check-in app? I don't know if it's available outside the UK, but helping people shop better. Customers get to log in, say how well the shop is stocked, how long the queue was. I've used it a few times, not bad. I think I did a story about him on the website, learndeveloplive.com, quick plug. Also, whilst plugging here, you can find Learn, Develop, Live all over social media. The Learn, Develop, Live network is on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just look up Learn, Develop, Live, you'll find it. That's it. What about something simple as going out and cutting grass? I've already told you the story. We used it for something for the weekend. Episode, was it 12? Episode with Steve Harvey back in January. Why not go and have a look? You can download it. He told you a story about his high school friend who would cut grass instead of going out with him and his friends. And now, he's got pretty much every landscaping contract in the hometown, making over $4 million a year. And that started from someone cutting grass. $2 for the front, $2 for the back. Anything's possible if you want it enough. Now, before we get going, let's have a podcast drop and then let's get the show on the road.
If you like this podcast, you can get even more motivation at learndeveloplive.com.
Now, back to the world here. So we've talked about launching a dream. We've talked about how you get some confidence if you're a bit short on it. But possibly the biggest one, once you've got the first two bits going, is how do you try and stay consistent? You might have started chasing that dream, when you had a bit more time. And then you're trying to balance it on the side of your regular job. If you want to add in that thing called life, and then time for your project, it kind of disappears. It falls down the list of priorities. But if you really do want something, if you really want to do something, you'll make time for it. Simple. If you keep meaning to go to the gym, well, at the moment, you can start exercising in the lockdown, but if you really wanted to go to the gym, you'd give it time. You'd make time. But if you aren't and you put it off, then it really isn't a priority for you right now, is it? Now, I'm sure a lot of people that podcast, maybe they didn't realise just how much time it would take. And originally, it was all about the website. But then the podcast was created, to make the link, connect with another audience like yourself. But it all takes time. Unfortunately, these episodes just don't come out of thin air. I wish I could, but oh well, it would be nice. But let me use podcasting as a great example about consistency. How the dream of the pod starts so strong but fades because of either time constraints or maybe it ends up being too much hard work. Now, back in February, which seems a long time ago because the sun didn't even come out then, I was getting some podcast stats as I was going to be a guest on the Talking Heads Footy podcast. Check out episode 15 and 17 if you wish to for my guest slots. And then you can subscribe to them too. But stats. It was said that around 850,000 different podcasts out in the big old wide world and over 30 million episodes, but only 153,000 podcasts had actually had any new content in the previous 90 days or so, which by the power of maths and a calculator is 18%. And also, a stat I saw this week is that a lot of podcasts don't make it past episode 7. So, I can proudly say this is episode 26 of the weekly show, but with other episodes that publish daily. I don't know, what are we on now? It must be something like 220 odd episodes since October 2019. Damn! But I mean, how do you become consistent? I mean, it's not easy. I do not deny it. It's hard work. And even when you manage to find the right balance, it doesn't always work that way. It's still hard work. Now, like you have with being motivated all the time, you also need to be disciplined and keep to doing what you should be doing and not stray towards what might be a little bit more interesting or exciting at the time. We've all been there. On the flip side though, our lack of consistency can be incredibly frustrating and sometimes painful. The reason why you're trying to be consistent is very likely to be because you're focused on the outcome rather than the process. Oh, I know that feeling. But this is not to say the outcome is not important, but if we become fixated on the outcome, it will work against us, no matter how amazing it is. The question is why? Well, this is because any outcome compelling enough to excite you is probably one that won't be achieved without the hard work and the sacrifice over long periods of time. Without certain processes, in place to help us, most of us aren't able to maintain the effort needed, especially to help achieve the outcome you actually want. Mouthful? Yes. But the next question is, how do we do it? Great question. Well, I mean, you can start by having a plan. You might have one in your head, which is great, but you need to write it down because you might forget. But to achieve all the outcomes you're looking for, you need to start with defining your plan, and you can split this up into 4 pizzas. And just a nice pizza. Slice 1, quarter 1. Identify the desired outcome, which might be, I want to become fitter, which you won't get from eating this pizza. Number 2, the big why. Behind your desired outcome, becoming healthy in mind, body, and the reason is because I will have energy to meet the physical, emotional needs of loved ones, and just general fitness. You can now set some goals, and these will gradually get you to what you actually want as your outcome. I.e., do you want to lose 10 pounds in 30 days? Maybe less, maybe more. And then we have the process. Develop your process to get these goals, i.e., you might want to run a couple miles a couple times a week. Whatever it is, the process to get you there. Right, now we have a plan, and you can adapt this as much as you want. You might want to make it 8 steps. It's really up to you about how much detail you want to put around it. But whatever works for you, it has to be tailored to you. Whatever fits you and helps you be more consistent. Okay, plan in place. How to become more consistent. Now, the start of this is you kind of have to be present, you kind of need to be in it. How else are you going to make this happen? Now, being present means that you're going to be fully engaged in the task ahead. It means you need to quieten your tendency to waste mental, emotional, and physical energy worrying about past or future things, none of which we actually have the ability to control. Minimize distractions is key to getting anything done here. If you're in a house full of people, trying to find somewhere quiet won't be easy, but maybe you get up a little bit earlier than everyone else. Or maybe you put some work towards your dream or your little project, when everyone's gone to bed. That could be a solution. The build up to being present could involve you writing your ideas down beforehand, so when you do finally get to sit down, you've got all these things that you can cook up the good stuff with. Now next, you should anticipate the barriers. And for everyone, at some point with whatever you do, you'll hit a wall. Now, while most people see the wall as a bad thing, it is actually a natural barrier, wait for it, to separate the quitters from the ones who want to go on and succeed. If you want to quit, the question is, did you want it bad enough? But also, if you do want to quit, you wanting to quit might actually be a sign to say this particular adventure actually isn't the one for you. So this can actually be a good thing, as it will give you a chance to move on to something else, which could actually be the right thing for you instead. If you expect the barrier to appear at some point, you can plan on what you can do with it, even before it shows up. Take a step back, take a break. This could be just what you need to help get those creative juices flowing again. But what about when the inspiration is missing? Now, this has a simple answer to it. Just do it. Just go with it. Just put something out there. I mean, it might not be, to the incredible high standard that you've set yourself, but, what did I say? As long as you turn up on the day, at least you're there. It's the same thing. You start a YouTube channel. You can spend weeks, months trying to get everything perfect. But just before you launch, you will find something you haven't done yet. And again, you're delayed. But just get going. It's a huge thing to get going because momentum will build with that. Stop waiting. The time is now, or after this podcast. And sometimes I have this stage with the weekly podcast. What could I possibly talk about week after week? One week I could have no ideas. The following week I could have several ideas. And I probably do what most people do. I look online for a story that might kick off an idea in my head, or I might hear something on another podcast that I'll put my own spin on. The best thing though is just keep going. But also, it's like hitting the barrier situation. Just take a break after sitting there looking into space. You may find inspiration elsewhere, and away you go. Now, the next part would probably be you need to go back to the drawing board. Now, in your quest, most of us are eager to rush through the basics to get to the exciting stuff. But what about when we don't spend enough time mastering the basics? The foundation of what you're going to be doing. Now, we can easily become discouraged by the advanced tactics and strategies you're building, but the basics are undoubtedly important. You wouldn't have a building stand up if it didn't have the foundation there in the ground, out of sight. But those foundations that have been laid, they're still doing probably the most important job of them all. You need the basic skills to master first. You need to be able to master them in order to gain traction, and then you'll be able to experience success. Forgive yourself and move on, because life is too short. Now, when things don't go well, we do beat ourselves up. When we don't follow the plan, we don't see any bright sides, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. But instead of avoiding this reality, understand it's part of the game. For instance, I have a daily podcast every day, and the work that goes into that compared to the main weekly podcast, like this one you're listening to right now, it's nowhere near the amount of work compared to each other. I know the daily one is like a minute or so, and this could be anything between 10 to 16, 18, whatever minutes. But I often consider it a bit of a failure if I don't get it recorded early in the week and not doing it on a Friday. I'm doing this on a Saturday before it gets released. Brilliant. Now, mentally, for me, emotionally, I'd like to have got it done earlier. But this is life, and we move on. There is always next time. But being consistent isn't easy. No one said it would be, and I definitely agree it's not easy at all. Now, you won't be able to continue it day after day, week after week, but try and find and create a schedule that works for you. And then you'll just see how well you get it all done and how easier it is than trying to go day by day. Now, if you do want to talk about consistency and how we can make it work for you, we can get on a call together and we can see what we can do together. I'd love to work with you one-on-one And if you want to know what the Learn, Do It, Live method can do for you, how you can benefit, how it can help you live your life to a higher level, book your free 30-minute call at ldlcall.com. I'll call you, and even if it's just a chat, I'm here for you. Also, before we go, could I ask a huge, massive favour? If you listen to this on Apple Podcasts, would you mind leaving me a nice 5-star review? There's currently 2 ratings on there at the moment, and one was a 1 star. And the reason for this, so the review said, because the volume was too low and there are too many adverts. Now, why not just turn your volume up? And I never have adverts at the end of the show, so I don't know what you were listening to. So if you could help your boy out, that'd be much appreciated. Free shout-outs are available. But as of now, keep looking after yourself, keep being consistent, and I'll see you in the next one.
Goodbye.
What? It's over already?
All over.
Thank you for listening to the Learn, Develop, Live podcast. I hope you feel as warm, motivated, and fuzzy inside as I do. You can connect with Chris at LearnDevelopLive.com or on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
I won't say goodbye. I'll just say until we meet again.
Until next time, join the motivation. 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 Motivation.